This program is designed to provide general information with regards to the subject matters covered. This information is given with the understanding that neither the hosts, guests, sponsors, or station are engaged in rendering any specific and personal, medical, financial, legal, counseling, professional service, or any advice. You should seek the services of competent professionals before applying or trying any suggested ideas. Magazine publisher and entrepreneur Judith Mancini is sharing captivating conversations with experts in their field about the latest trends in our ever-changing world to help you become healthy, wealthy, and wise. Judith Mancini Today will spark your interest and inspire you to lead your best life ever. And now, here's Judith.
Judith Mancini Today is sponsored by Basic Brands, Inc., providing the highest quality specialty products in the natural food industry. Visit basicbrandsinc.com and enter JMT15 for your 15% discount on your first order, including their best-selling product, Vitamin E Ointment, that will restore moisture and elasticity to your skin. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining me. We're going to start out with In the News, One Woman's Opinion, that being me, Judith Mancini. We have a lot going on right now, and I think probably, even though you don't want to believe everything that's on the news, you want to take it with a grain of salt, you want to hear both sides of it, there's no doubt in my mind that a lot of you who have reach the age of 55 and above and are blessed to do so, you're probably getting a little worried. You're probably worrying about what's happening with the banking and your money and the COVID vaccines and COVID ever coming again or the next pandemic coming. There's a myriad of things going on, and you should be up to date on them. A couple of them I want to talk about today. I'm going to start with things that aren't so disastrous and could spell the end of society as we know it. We don't want that to happen. So I want to talk about some other things first. And believe me, they're all very serious. But I want you to get on your laptop or your phone or your television and hear both sides of these stories. First, let's talk about what happened with Silicon Valley Bank. Now, a lot of you will never have heard of that. I actually hadn't heard of it. It's the 16th largest bank in the US of A, and it crashed. They're in big trouble. But even though it was risky and insured, by federal law, all of your deposits up to $250,000 are covered by insurance. And so you will get it back. So they didn't see a huge run on the bank. They kept the line short. But what this bank was doing was taking your deposits and loaning them out into some risky, high risk to make money to a lot of people, venture capital and new tech companies, and they didn't have the deposits to cover it, and everything crashed in one day. Now, what I'm concerned about is how are they going to hold these people responsible, because the top 3 executives cashed out stock payments a few days, 3 to 4 days before the crash. So that to me is a little dicey. So we're going to have to follow that closely and see what happened. But you do know, if you don't keep track of all of this, that this has an impact all over the world. If you've been following it, you will know that Credit Suisse, their stock fell 69% in one day. Now it's traded back up and they're straightening things out and they swear that they'll be in a good position. But if I were you and you were lucky enough to have more than $250,000 in the bank, I would spread your wealth around different banks. Now, a lot of you who make that much money, who have that much money, have inheritance, whatever, you probably are in several banks. A lot of you probably just go to a bank, you see the name of it. I'm guilty of this. My husband's guilty of this. We became depositors at First Republic Bank, which is the next one that is reportedly going to fail. And now it's up for sale. The bank itself, the whole banking system is up for sale. Did we look at it to see what was going on? No. It had a reputation for people to put their money in it, have it grow. Well, we got out of that bank because it wasn't convenient for us when we moved from the west side over the hill, as they say here in the Beverly Hills Valley area. So it wasn't convenient for us, so we changed banks. Now, did we look at that one? No. Now we're looking at them. So it's kind of crazy out there. You need to know what's going on. Just like I told you last week, you need to investigate your doctors, see where they went to school, what they specialize in, and all of that. I think you should start watching your banks and see what's going on with them. We don't want to start a run on banks, but it's happened before. The disastrous housing market that made the economy collapse in 2008. You never expect these big companies to go under, but unfortunately, some of them do. Now, one of the problems at Silicon Valley Bank was they didn't have any bankers on their board. They had one person who had any experience in banks. At least that's what I've been told. Why don't you study that and let me know what you think? How could you? It's like having a retail company and you have a board of directors with maybe 13 people on it. Bad luck number, supposedly, but it's always been good to me. But you have these people on it and you don't have anybody that has any retail experience on it. How in the world are you going to succeed? Sure, you can run the numbers and customer service or something, but there is no way you can make major decisions about expanding your business or anything if you don't have somebody that's on your board and knows retail business backwards and forwards. That's the same in the banking industry. Why would you have a bank and not have any experts helping you make major decisions? Craziness. Okay, so just a quick note, in Palestine, they have sued the railroad company. So we'll see where that goes. There are still big piles of dirt that they dug up to dig the trench to set everything on fire to burn off, which in itself was bad. But now this contaminated soil is being shoveled into trucks and taken to red states instead of blue states. Huh? Does everything have to be political? Now, don't you think that these red states are up in arms, literally, over this? Craziness again. A quick note on air travel. I was a stewardess. My first husband was a pilot. I like to think we kind of follow me. I follow the airlines, what's going on with them, how so many mergers happened a few years ago, and the different time periods you could fly, whether you were a flight attendant or a pilot, and how many people had to be in the cockpit, how many flight attendants needed to be on the airplane for safety's sake, because flight attendants are not there to make your martini. They're there to keep you safe in case of something happening. So there's a certain number per person that flight attendants are responsible for. And pilots and flight attendants have to have recurrent training every year. But what about air traffic control? Air traffic control is overburdened. We have so many flights in the United States. It's remarkable. And if you ever look at one of those maps where you see how many flights are up in the air at one time, you'll be amazed that there are more incidents. But we have had 6 near misses in the last couple months, and that is unbelievable. Now, when you're in the tower, the air traffic tower, some of the people are watching the airplanes flying around in the skies. Some are handed off to the guys or the ladies. The air traffic controllers then have the planes that are coming in for landing. And then there's also somebody who tells the airplanes which gates to go to, how to get there, which taxiways. And that is what keeps us safe. But lately there have been near misses. And I swear, I believe it is because the air traffic controllers are overburdened with the number of flights. I think they need more personnel. Oh, but where would we get it? There's 87,000 new tax people, IRS people coming in to check everybody. I'd like to see them in air traffic control. Well, I'd like to see them in a lot of places, the border and the military, our protection. So that might be something you might want to check on your favorite news station, or look up things and articles that have been posted in different newspapers and magazines on all these different subjects. There's a problem with free speech in our country. The other day at Stanford, an invited judge, an invited justice was supposed to speak to a law class. And guess what? Yeah, that's right. The woke students, before he even had half of his speech, he only had just started his speech, started yelling and screaming at him, "You're a racist, you're a racist." Well, I just don't understand this. They're supposed to be law students and upholding our Constitution with free speech. Free speech is both sides of the argument. The little parts that have been broadcast on television news, I didn't hear him say anything having to do with race at all. Critical race theory, nothing. But then an associate dean comes running up and she starts telling him he's racist. And he says, "But you invited me here to speak and you're not letting me speak." Well, they didn't care. There it was at Stanford Law School. What kind of attorneys are we going to have supposedly helping our country and upholding the Constitution? I don't know. My granddaughter wants to go to Stanford. I don't even want to discuss this with her. I don't think she has time to follow every single thing, but I don't know what they're telling her in school about these things now. She's in high school. She's a freshman. I don't know what they're telling her about what's going on and things like this. And she's got a full load with school and being a star volleyball player and all. So I'm not going to burden her with this now, but I'd like to hear her opinion on it when she has some time. So that's another thing. Don't we want people in office and teaching our kids that the Constitution guarantees these things and discussion is a good thing? I think so. So check your grandkids, check your children and see what they're saying. There's time to study both sides of it. I saw the other day that, speaking of school, there's somebody, and I didn't catch the entire thing, so I want to look this up for next week. There's somebody sponsoring a school startup that is going to go back to teaching nothing but trades and intertwining it with education. And I don't mean just one shop class. I mean, they're going to concentrate on a whole lot of different ones, from doing computer things to car services, taking care of engines, taking care of car bodies, electricians. So I'm interested in this. This is supposed to be a big school that you can get scholarships to, and also I'm going to follow up on that for your kids and your grandkids who just don't want to go to a university and get that 4-year degree where they're not even taking anything they're interested in, and then they get out with this 4-year degree and they still have no idea what they want to do. I think maybe some of these other countries like the UK has a gap year from your quote our high school education to where you enter the university or college system. And that gap year, you're supposed to go around and try different things or go someplace where you can check out what you think you want to do in your future life as a career. And maybe you find out you don't like it, or maybe you discover something else while you're doing this. And then you go in and you start your education. But the demand on our university system is quite high, and you have to get those applications in, and they have all sorts of restrictions and things you're supposed to do. So I do want to tell everybody who's going to school, that community service is a big deal. Helping others, always helping others is a big boost to your career or your education or whatever. So you might check into some of the charities around and maybe go work for Habitat for Humanity or something like that. Now, there is a problem, I think, with the defense in our country, and I think this is bothering a lot of people right now who are at retirement age or older and have children and grandchildren, and I don't know what to say. There's so many scary things out there right now. People are starting to panic. Panic. They can't sleep at night. Their stomachs are upset. They don't know what to say to their adult children. Is your world going to be like ours was in the 80s and the 90s when things were a little rosier? I think one of the things is we feel now, many of us, that our country is not being defended in the way it should be. I listened to the Department of Defense speech yesterday with the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and I can't tell you that it made me feel very good. Russia wants to take over the Black Sea, and it's no doubt in my mind, now this is one woman's opinion, that they intentionally shot that drone down over someplace that was so deep we couldn't recover it. But that's what they're saying, 5,000 feet of water. But what if they were trying to also get some of the information that's on that drone? We have no warships in the Black Sea to go and even put the divers down there with their individualized submarines and equipment and all to try to get some of this drone back, which has gathered information from other various areas for our intelligence. What's going to happen? What if they get a lot of secret information? It was sort of like Black Hawk Down when they tried to get that helicopter, and before they destroyed it totally, they took out a lot of our intelligence gathering things and where it had been and just everything. I've never heard of a country that doesn't want to retrieve their planes or their drones or their tanks. This is unbelievable. Think about all the things we left in Afghanistan. And it cost millions of dollars to make one of these drones. Well, think what's happened in the last couple months. China's balloons flying over our country and over our nuclear, I call them nuclear silos. What information were they getting? What did we do about that? When I say we, I mean, what did our current administration do about that? Now, what is our current administration doing about this drone? These are just 2 incidents. Isn't it time that the public say something about the protection of our country? The other day, the Ukrainian President Zelensky suggested if he doesn't have more help from the United States, including perhaps our armed forces, our warriors, go over there to help, they may never win this war. Well, do you want to send your sons and daughters over there to fight? I don't think so. I don't. This is not our war. We want freedom, but we need them here to defend us, quite frankly. We do not want to be sending people into Ukraine. And where is the accounting of all the money we have sent over there? Where do we want to go with this Ukrainian war? We don't want Russia to take over. We want freedom. But what's going to happen when Russia runs out of their armed forces? You know, they're already taking people out of prisons. These are pretty bad guys. And telling them they'll never have to go back to prison if they go and fight against Ukraine. Well, of course they won't, because they're going to be killed. There have been a lot of Russian soldiers killed during this war, and this is just incensing Putin even more. What is he going to do to retaliate? Because I don't think he's going away. What are we going to do to end this? You know, in this press conference they had the other day, Chairman Milley, or Cabinet Member Milley, was saying that some of these other countries, like Serbia, donated 2 things to the war in Ukraine. And granted, that's a lot of money for Serbia to do some kind of weapons. But we can't keep fending off these people in Ukraine without more help from NATO. And NATO is what started the war in the first place, because Putin didn't want us to back, or the other people to back, the Ukraine becoming a member of NATO. NATO used to protect each other. Right now they can't, because Ukraine isn't a member, so they can't send NATO troops in there. And I don't think we want to send any more people in there. I think we need to send some weapons, and let's end this war. Before we get in another one, you know, I want you all to realize we're up against a lot of people that really despise the United States now, because they're not for freedom, liberty, democracy, fair, open elections. They're not feeding their people. They're not running their economy correctly. We've got North Korea, China, Iran, Russia. Besides that, we have, stumbling over my words because it upsets me so much, we also have ISIS, the Taliban, and Al-Qaeda again, gearing up people. So we don't want another 9/11, but if we can't tell China and Russia that you can't shoot down whatever's in the sky that belongs to us over our own land, or people that we are protecting, they don't care. They think we're weak. Okay, so that's enough of that. This is an axis of evil, and they're not going to stop until we stand more firm. So read, listen, stand up, and speak out. Okay, that is it for the news today. Yes, it is. Now, what I talked about today is How will you spend the second half of your life? I'm having a lot of friends ask me what is going on. Some of them have prepared themselves for retirement. Some haven't. Some don't know what they want to do. Others have embraced that for, excuse me, I'm sorry, I had a phone call coming through. Everybody should know not to call me during my showtime. Okay, so what I want to say is some people have prepared for the second half of their life and some people haven't. Some have saved their retirement money and put them in all sorts of accounts, 401k, some stock market, some annuities, some real estate, all different things. Gold is very popular now. But some people haven't even planned for that, or they have never been able to make enough money to plan for it, and they've been relying on Social Security. And Social Security is getting a real look at now from both the Republicans and the Democrats. And there's all sorts of rumors out there that maybe they'll raise the age to acquire Social Security. Some say it's going to disappear because there's not enough money to sponsor it. The same with Medicare. Excuse me. So this is a concern, and you need to be concerned about it. So what are you going to do if you've reached retirement age and you don't have those funds? Well, we talk about side hustles a lot, or second careers. And I've been studying them all, and I want to give you some of the things I found out, which I will be doing next week. I'm digging deeper into some of the side hustles that are on the internet, because I'm concerned that some of you might be going after the side hustles that tell you you're going to make so much money, that you made more money than you made when you were working full time, and your husband's quit his job now, or your wife's quit her job now, and you're going into these side hustles. And no doubt you can make money on affiliate marketing and some of the other things that are out there. But I'm going to dig deeper into that because I want to protect you, help protect you, and all of that. The other thing is, a lot of people in this age are very lonely because they have an empty nest, they've lost a spouse, they've had to move because they can't afford to live in the area they've been living in. Maybe the states are overtaxing them, so they're leaving, like people leaving California and New York, and they see silly things like proposals being sent to the state legislature and the governor in San Francisco, where they're looking at reparations. But the plan they've come up with is absolutely ridiculous. $5 million for every person who claims it. Nobody knows how they're going to vet the people if they are eligible for it. $5 million a person. Wow. I might do something like Senator Elizabeth Warren did and claim I'm Native American, but I'm not. I'm more than half Irish. Then everybody gets to buy a house, who qualifies, gets to buy a house for $1. And then there is some plan for everybody who qualifies to get paid as if they're working a job for something like 25 years. What? I don't get it. San Francisco already took these immigrants and put them in 5-star, 4-star hotels, and they didn't like them, so they had to take them out and find them new housing. What is going on? Now, you do know that Governor Newsom is an interesting man. It has come up that Newsom is the California governor. He has come up with an idea that he's starting to build this train from Los Angeles to Las Vegas that's never been completed. I don't think that's a very good idea. there's a lot of airplanes that fly to Las Vegas, and it's drivable within 4 hours if you don't hit a traffic accident or something horrible like that. Excuse me. But the other thing that just came out, he got a lot of criticism during COVID when he went to the French Laundry, which happens to be a wonderful, elegant restaurant. But we were locked down. We couldn't go. So he got a lot of criticism for that. Recently, he went down to Baja Sur in Mexico for a little respite during the worst storms with the levees, dams, and all breaking and flooding different areas in California. Must be nice. But he also had 3 of his wineries financed by Silicon Valley Bank. I just thought that was interesting. So he's okay because the government is covering all of that. Everybody's going to get their money out of it. Not just the $250,000 that was insured, they're getting everything out. So that's why people are leaving California now. You may be saving some rent or being able to buy a home that is maybe even more spectacular than you have in California because the property taxes are so high and the prices of the houses themselves are so expensive. So you might choose to move to Florida, or you might choose to move into the Midwest, someplace like South Dakota. So what you're looking at is changing a lifestyle, moving someplace where you may not have any family and you may not have any friends. So this has become sort of an anxiety stimulant by how we've had to change our lifestyles. So I know a lot of people are worried about that. Not only do you have to change your lifestyle, but then when you move, you have to change your doctors again, and you have to change your Medicare again, and maybe your insurance, your car insurance, and register to vote. Don't forget to register to vote. All sorts of things. So what I'm trying to say is there are a lot of people in a midlife crisis right now. Midlife crisis can come and show itself in any manner. It seems that men get through midlife crisis a little better. And now this is going to be pejorative for some of my male friends that do listen in to Judith Mancini Today. But a lot of men handle their midlife crisis after they retire or get close to retirement. Or they have hormones too. So they go through some self-doubt, some pumping up of their bodies, lifting weight, running longer and longer. When they go out to exercise in the morning, instead of 2 miles, they now try to run 4 or 5. They go and buy a new souped up sports car. It used to be Corvettes. Now it's Lamborghinis. Can you imagine how long it's going to be for some of these people to pay off these Lambos? Craziness. When you wonder where a little cash is going, it might be because your partner is cheating on you. Because men are infamous for going to find a lower aged woman to make them feel like their testosterone and their confidence is going back up. That's why women have a harder time. They are not easily finding other careers, and their children are gone, and now their husband is not acting the same loving husband, spouse that they used to be. Now, don't get me wrong. There are men out there that are very wonderful and gracious and love their wives deeply, and they're religious. They don't believe in any of this falderall. So I'm not criticizing all men. And fortunately, in our group of friends, we have very strong marriages, and a lot of people have been married for many, 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 many years. A lot of us have been divorced, but usually when we're getting divorced, it's because of some atrocity that has happened in our marriage. So, what I want to say is this affects your health, it affects your sleep, and sleep deprivation is detrimental to your health, to your heart health, to your lung health, to your mental health, especially to your mental health with depression and anxiety. And in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be doing an entire show on sleep deprivation. So you might want to listen into that with some tips and some food you can eat and all of that. So food that might help you before you go to bed, because everybody likes a late night snack sometimes, and it's not the ice cream that's really good. So, for your sleep deprivation, that is. And, you also have the women that are now dealing mostly with adult children and how they fit into that. And there's a lot of people that are estranged from their children. And there's a lot of people our age who have lost children, as you all know. And there's different ways to handle all of this. So the first thing you need to do to cure this anxiety of entering the second half of your life is to make a plan, take a self-assessment, and go all the way back to your childhood, to your elementary school, to your middle school or junior high that it used to be called, or your high school or your college days. What was it that you wanted to do? I always wanted to be an archaeologist, and I'm not. But you know how I have fulfilled that dream? I love history. I like to watch the History Channel, the Discovery Channel. I love to go on vacations where I can look at ancient history, go to the museums, and see what has been dug up. I read books on it. That's how I fulfilled that dream. And now that I've had more time in my life, instead of running a business where I have to be in an office 9 to 5 and beyond, I have a little extra time to do things like that and fulfill that dream. So maybe you have that too. Maybe you're a fashionista and you've always had to wear a certain thing to work. But now maybe you want to be a little creative and become a shopper for other women and choose and style them. That would be fun, wouldn't it? Maybe you want to do things like clear out your closet, which I have a girlfriend who has started a fabulous business with doing things like that for women. She's having such a great time and such a success at it. Of course, there's that coaching business too, where if you think you know the secret to life or how to teach people to choose their avatar and tell them how they can put things on the internet and tell them which way they should go for their different businesses. There's all those classes in coaching and things like that. And maybe that's for a retired teacher. You could even get on there and tell people on the internet how to grow their orchids. If you love to grow your own orchids, you could do things like that. But you could also be writing your own book, your memoir about your life and how you've had to make these decisions and how you succeeded and overcame some different problems and difficulties you had in your life. And you could leave it for your grandchildren or for your friends. You could take your friends out and help them find themselves. You could become the one in the neighborhood who gathers everyone for a book club. There's all sorts of things to do, but one of the things that I think would be fun, you could be kind of like Thelma and Louise, but cut the crime out. Don't do anything like that. But get in your car and take a car trip all across the United States. We live in the most beautiful country ever and so diverse in climate and people and wonderful natural beauty and wonderful monuments, well, if any are still up. There's all sorts of wonderful places to go, and what better than to go and do it with a girlfriend or 2 or 3 girlfriends? Pile in somebody's big car, take a little tiny bit of luggage, not big stuff. You're not going to be fancy here, but drive across the country. Now, if you want to take a fancy trip, get on an airplane with your girlfriends or take the Amtrak across the country and stop in these various places, or take a cruise down one of the rivers like the Mississippi River and see the South. There's all sorts of things you could do. And you could still, if you're on a tight budget, you could still manage to afford that, because whether you're buying food at home or buying food on the road, it will fit into your budget. All you need to worry about is the fuel. But if you're going with somebody else, everybody chips in. And so you can do those wonderful things. The number one thing you need to remember is taking care of your health. Health is wealth. And if you don't have health, you don't have anything. You really need to take care of your health and eat healthy. And interesting, I just found out one of the best foods for your heart health is a banana. Yep, and I have a note here on my banana. I eat a banana every day because one of my many mother-in-laws ate a banana every way, and she lived to an older age, and she was always beautiful, and she never had any work done on her face, and Botox wasn't around then. She was beautiful, and she was spry and full of energy, and took up skiing at a really late age to be skiing when you're worried about osteoporosis and things. She was fabulous. I loved her a lot. And she ate a banana a day. Now, there's been a study done that said bananas were associated with 24% lower risk of coronary heart disease. But all produce helps. But I just found that analysis of studying more than 4 million people, that was an amazing thing. So add a banana. Now, if you don't really love bananas, it's probably because you're buying them green and they never fully ripen up. I like a ripe banana, but I don't like it squishy unless I'm making banana bread. But, there's a lot of sugar, natural sugar in a banana, so they're not sour or anything like that. Add a banana to your breakfast, and particularly for women when they need potassium and all, when they're going through menopause and younger, this banana will really help you. So that's my health tip for today. I thought also it was interesting that these long runs that people do, now I'm not talking about trying to train for a marathon, but every day that they just do this on the weekend or during the week when it's vacation time, that kind of running is a little bit dangerous. So you need to watch yourself, and it's wise to get one of these watches or patches or whatever apparatus you have to look at your blood pressure and your heart rate and all of that, and not push yourself too far, because in our glory years, we don't want to overdo it, but we do want to exercise. So keep that in mind, and that will definitely see you through. Now, I'm going to sign off slightly earlier today because I need to take my husband to the doctor. Now, we had a scare. We seem to be getting hit with some challenges, but God is there and he's watching over us and taking care of us. And you all know my faith is very strong, and that's how I've gotten through everything. But I will tell you, it's frightening to me because I don't want to lose my husband. So he's had a heart issue in the past, and he's been very healthy for the last 25 years. So we want to get this taken care of right away, and I'm going to take him to the doctor shortly. So that's why I'm signing off a little early today. But guess what? Tomorrow is St. Patrick's Day, and I'm Irish, and I'm going to leave you with these words today instead of what I usually say about cherish yesterday, dream tomorrow, and live today, I'm going to leave you with these Irish words. May the road rise to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. The sun shine warm upon your face. The rain fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the hollow of his hand. Bye, everybody. Thanks for joining.